Okay, and we're back with our videos. First one for Unit 2 and Business and People, and we're looking at training today. So hopefully by the end of this you will be able to understand the types of training, discuss the benefits and drawbacks of the different types, and understand the importance for training for development. So, first of all, why is training important? Well, for the individual, it's going to help them find a job, it will help them do their job better, and it may help them get a promotion. Now, you have to be able to discuss both from the individual's point of view and from the business's point of view. So a training will help the business because they will have a better skilled workforce. They'll be able to work harder. That will lead to higher productivity. It will also lead to more motivated workforce. And if you train your workers, then you're more likely to retain them, keep them, instead of them leaving and going to another business. And if you have a highly trained workforce, then you will be able to compete with other companies. And if you're a large business, that could be at home or it could even be abroad. So, there are lots of different training needs that may need to be met. So, we start off with the need for technical skills. So you might need to be trained because you need to know how to do something very technical. You might need to develop your personal skills and the way you work with other people. You may need to develop managerial skills, and that especially may be the case if you're looking for promotion. It may be that you need to develop a way of working together in groups, and that necessarily won't be one person, that might actually be a group of people coming together to try and learn how to work better. If you're in a large business, you might have to develop the knowledge of new products, and you might periodically be taken away and shown the new products so you can explain them to customers. A bigger plan might be to develop a flexible workforce so that people can be deployed where they need to go. So you need multi-skilled workers, something that happens a lot in the supermarkets. Or it might be that there is a need for retraining because the structure of the workforce has changed. Maybe people have been made redundant, you need to move people around to take them from one department and put them into another department, so they need to be retrained. Now, there are two main types of training that we focus on the job training and off the job training. And like most things in business studies, it does what it says on the tin. So on the job training happens in the workplace, on the job, and it happens while the worker is working. It will often help the worker gain specific technical skills to help them do a job. The benefit is that the worker is still producing while they're training, although that productivity won't necessarily be very high. However, they may make mistakes and this will cost the business money. Now, you often see, again, using the supermarkets as an example, sometimes when you're shopping in Tesco's, you'll see that somebody is stood behind the new employee at the checkout. That is on-the-job training. They're helping them understand the new tills and the systems, and after perhaps doing that for one shift, the next time that person turns up to work, they'll be left alone and expected to do the job using what they've learned. As I said, the other one is off-the-job training. So if on-the-job training happens while you are at work, it goes without saying then that off-the-job training happens away from the workplace. And this is when you always hear of people who go on courses. Okay, and again, because you're leaving the workplace, this course will usually help them develop the skills of the worker in some way. Now, the benefit of this is that you will have specialists that are developed because you will send them on these courses to do specialist things. Of course, the problems arise from that is that the worker is missing from the business while they train, so they're not working in the business. Now, you may argue that the payoff is that when they're more highly trained, they'll be able to do a better job, but for that day or that week that they're not in the business, they're not producing and therefore not being able to help the business earn money. Now, those are the two main ways that people are trained and that you will come across and that will happen throughout your time when you're at work. There are other types of training though, and the main one that we want to focus on is induction training. Now, induction training, you may have heard of induction before when you came up to the high school when you were in year 6, but it happens in the first 2 or 3 days of starting a new job. And it's a special type of training. This is about the business as a whole and its aims, its objectives, its mission statement, what we're trying to achieve. It is also covers the basics of the business, so like where the canteen is, where the locker room or the changing rooms are, the toilets. It might include a tour of the building where health and safety and first aid stations are. It's the basics of the business. The key thing is there, as it says in the last bullet point, is that induction training is not about the job you've been hired to do. Okay, that you'll find out through on or off the job training. This is training about the business that has employed you. And by the end of induction training, you should be able to talk about the business, its objectives, and what it's trying to achieve. So, what are the benefits of this then? Well, again, we have to look at it from both sides. So for the employee, there are benefits. You feel more settled at work. Hopefully you'll understand the business as a whole. You'll get an idea of the layout of the business, and where the important facilities are, like the canteen and the toilets, etc. You'll be able to start more confidently the next day, and you'll possibly meet managers and other people who you wouldn't necessarily meet every day, but who you might need to be aware of. And again, there are benefits to the business of carrying out this induction for its staff. Okay, so again, for the business, the worker will feel more valued, which may lead to a more motivated workforce, and motivation means that they'll work harder. The employees will also understand the firm's objectives and hopefully be able to work towards those objectives and help the business achieve them. Now, there are other types of training we need to consider. You need to be able to at least talk about these as other things. So there is coaching or mentoring. Now, this is when a senior manager supports their employees, offers them advice on how to do their job. You might have a meeting every once a week or once a month, and it's more of a discussion rather than a telling somebody what to do. And you might be familiar with that in school when they talk about having peer mentors where you go and support the younger year groups. The same sort of thing happens in organisations. Staff appraisal, we've put it in here as a form of training because what you do is you have a meeting where you review your performance and then you set objectives, some of which may be for training to help you become a manager, to help you work in groups, or any of those things on the previous slide. Again, you'll be familiar with this because you do it in lessons and you do it in PSE when you review your performance. It happens in the workplace as well. And then finally, you have lifelong learning. Now, this is when you're encouraged to gain qualifications while you're at work. So a lot of the training we've been talked about is all just how to operate within that one business. But what some businesses will do is they will pay for you to complete an MVQ or a degree or a diploma or an apprenticeship or some course. Now, that course will not be specific to the business. It will be something that's specific to your type of job, and it will help you in all the places that you work, like a degree will or a diploma will. But they may be prepared to invest in that, and so you actually come out with a qualification which you might not get with any of the other types of training we've spoken about. Well, there we go. It's come in just under 9 minutes. Hopefully, by the time you've watched this and made your notes, the Zondel quiz should be up and running. Don't forget to do the quiz as well, and I will see you in our next lesson.